Chloe Styler is a rising country pop star with her unique sound and lyrics, and she's been impressing audiences both here and in the USA. Chloe was named Breakout Artist of the Year at the Gold Coast Music Awards this year. She's been playing in Nashville, and she's joined Nick Kershaw and Go West on tour this year, as well as supporting Shannon Knoll and Carice Eden. And I'm breathless just reading that list, so she must be quite tired. Hello, Chloe.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and very pleased to be speaking to you again because there's always stuff to talk to you about. I'm going to start with the award. Congratulations. You are racking up award activity, though, because you've been a Queensland Music Award finalist, amongst other things. It must feel like an affirmation that you're on the right path.
It does, especially getting an award at the Gold Coast Music Awards. That meant so much to me because I was born here. I still live here. It just means the absolute world to get the recognition from my hometown and an industry that I so admire, So it just made me feel like I was on the right track, and just a little accolade here and there, a little nudge saying, yes, good job, is all you need sometimes.
So how is the music scene on the Gold Coast, or should I specifically say the country music scene?
The country music scene is growing. It's very exciting. I've been nominating and being a finalist in the awards for 6 years now, and to see the growth of just not only the country industry but the industry in general on the Gold Coast is amazing, because it's booming, and people are moving to the Gold Coast to be a part of our industry, which is very exciting. And we do have a very strong indie scene. I suppose just naturally being on the coast, that's a scene that's huge. But as someone in the country scene, it's very exciting to have people like Casey Barnes, James Johnston isn't far from us. Even like Southeast Queensland in general, like Brizzy, we have Tyler Rodriguez and Brianna Dinsdale, and just a list of amazing artists that are just calling the Southeast Queensland hub home. So yeah, it's really exciting.
And look, these days it's very easy to get between Brisbane and the Gold Coast because there's that motorway / highway, whatever it is these days.
A terrible motorway that I always get stuck on in traffic, but yes.
When you're not stuck in traffic around the Gold Coast, that just seems to be par for the course.
I know.
Yeah, that's right. So if someone were visiting the Gold Coast and they wanted to see some great live music, what is your pick of the venues?
That's a good question. I really like Mo's Desert Clubhouse. That's in Burleigh. A great vibe, indoor-outdoor vibe. Yeah, I love it there. I also really like Vinnie's Dive. I've played there a few times. That's in Southport, right near the tram, super easy, great for public transport. And I don't know. Those are two really cool little local-owned venues, which I think is great to support.
Yeah, the tram. Everyone complains about the tram. Every time I've been there.
Everyone does complain about
construction. That's just it.
Gold Coasters love to complain about things. So
well, except you're not complaining about people moving in. That's usually what they complain about, I think.
I'm like, more the merrier. Come on, let's build this scene together. It's really exciting.
And I wonder what influence groundwater has had on that, just to signify that the area is not a repository for country music. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, conducive to country music.
That's
I think it's had a huge influence. I mean, I've been going to Groundwater since it was Broad Beach Country Music Festival. I think last year was 10 years, so it's 11 years now. And it's, again, being able to see how that's grown over the years is incredible. And the numbers and the people that make a whole week of it and come and spend their time and their money and on country music on the Gold Coast. Like, as someone that is just born and bred on the Gold Coast, I'm not from a farm, I'm not from the country, I've never claimed to be. It's really nice to be in an industry and a scene that supports coastal kind of country, and essentially just my sound, and so many of our sounds for the country artists that grew up on the coast or grew up not exactly from the farm. So it's really nice to have that in my backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to groundwater yet, but obviously it is on the list and it seems to be getting bigger and better every year. Now, you are on the Gold Coast, but you have been spending some time in a different hemisphere, specifically in Nashville, Tennessee. So you've just returned from there. I think that's at least your second trip this year that I'm aware of. Are you mainly there for songwriting?
Yes, so this trip was mainly just songwriting. I had 10 sessions, and so essentially I came home with 10 songs, and I played 5 gigs, 5 writers rounds while I was over there, which was really fun. And no recording this trip. I do my recording there now, but there was no recording to be done because we cut an EP back in June. So there's nothing to work on yet. It's got to come out first. So I love it over there, but there is no place like home. And I do enjoy getting back to the Southern Hemisphere.
So yes, that is great news that there is an EP just sitting there waiting to be released, but also they're having written 10 songs. That sounds like an album's worth of songs to me.
Technically, yeah, it's crazy. I have never written that many songs over there in one like short burst. So it was really exhausting mentally, not gonna lie. It was a lot, and I slept the whole 17-hour flight home, but it was also really challenging and in a good way to push my brain and my craft, I suppose, and connect with new people, because most of my writes were with people I'd never written with before. And it's just really fun to be able to, sorry, that's my dog growling. Dixie, stop. To be able to push myself. Sorry, she doesn't realize I'm busy. It's
but
like
also, why is she growling at you?
Literally, no, because she wants to play. Yeah, Dixie.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's quite, I'm very happy to have dogs. It's happened before, Chloe. I can assure you there have been.
I will put her on my lap soon like a baby, so it's fine.
So given that it's been quite a busy year for you, you've been doing quite a bit of touring, as I mentioned, and over to Nashville. Is there one particular highlight?
Oh, wow.
You can say no, of course.
I mean, no, I love this question. I mean, it is November. Yeah, we are at the stage of saying what's been the highlight of your year. I think the highlight of my year out of everything would be winning Breakout Artist of the Year, but not to have won it, but to have shared that moment with my family.
Oh.
Yeah, because my mum, dad, my sister were there, and in my acceptance speech, I had not even prepared a speech. I really didn't want to jinx it, and I just really truly didn't think it was going to be me. In my acceptance speech, I said that this was a team win because they are my team, and I am self-managed and independent, and technically don't really have a team technically, but I have them. So it was really nice to share that with them, and it just felt like a really, really beautiful moment, and one of those nudges saying you're doing the right thing, and the fact I could share it with them. So yeah.
Because I think, yeah, for as much as being a solo artist can be a solo enterprise in terms of your creativity, and that's true of any creator, I think to have that emotional support, or even just someone to pick up the phone and say, hey, this happened to me today, it's not anything that's necessarily tangible in that you can't, point to it on TikTok or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's real and it's important.
It's so important. And I live not far from my parents. So sometimes if I'm just having a doozy of a day, I go over for dinner and I just word vomit all the things that are in my brain. And even sometimes I sit down with mum and I go, these are my plans for the next 6 months with my releases. She has no idea how to help. She's just like, okay, good. Like, be a sounding board. And she is. So yeah, I just am so grateful for my family, and just grateful that I got to share that moment with them.
So you are self-managed, but you have been self-managing extremely well because you're very well organized. Now, I know you have an educational and personality background that lends itself towards organization, because you've got that business in your business accounting, I think it was, from memory, in your background. So the planning to go over, the timing of it, I imagine it's all very intentional, and that you actually do know what you're doing quite a way out.
Yes, I do. This year has been really difficult. It's been a challenge because I set myself a task of every 10 weeks releasing a song around about. And that sounds all well and good. And 10 weeks, that's a lot of time between songs. But no, because you have to backtrack. You have to have the song ready and uploaded about minimum 4 weeks prior to the song being out, usually around 6 weeks. So you're working usually 6 weeks in advance, but then about 6 weeks on top of that to get all the artwork done, to get it all ready, and music videos done. It's just crazy. It has been the most intense year. I'm not going to lie. I've just really set myself some crazy tasks and deadlines, but I've done it. And the last song for the year came out only a few weeks ago. So I'm really excited about that. And but I am already planning next year's releases, and you just kind of have to stay on top of it all.
Yes, because in between the writing and the touring and all those other things, you did record as well. And you recorded Little Lady, which is the new song, at the same time as Read a Room and Call It. So that's an efficient use of your time. It was in Nashville with Luke Wooten. So clearly that association worked for you with him.
Oh, I love Luke. I actually have known him for nearly 12 years just as a friend. And then last year when I went back to Nashville to play CMA Fest, we reconnected, and we then realized it would be a great opportunity to work together, and it's just been the perfect pairing. Luke gets my sound. I love everything he does. He's just a genius, and I feel very, very lucky to work with him and hand my songs to him and know that they'll be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though they were recorded at the same time, they don't necessarily have to be related. However, listening to them all, I was wondering if they're a song cycle of sorts, those three.
Yeah. As in, like, do you mean, are they all related thematically?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, technically, Read a Room is about a different person and situation. But Call It and Little Lady are about the same situation. And the EP is of a similar realm as well. So they might actually land on the EP as well. I'm still wondering whether or not to put them on this EP or just have new songs as a batch, but would love your thoughts. Maybe it would be worth my time to do that.
Well, except you said there were 5 songs on the EP, and the addition of 3 would make it an album, I think.
And that's why I'm contemplating not doing it, because I'm not ready to do an album.
Okay.
I'm just like, I'm still writing. And the way I describe why I haven't done an album yet is because I don't feel like I've lived enough. I don't feel like I've lived enough experiences to write an album of substance to make my debut. Because we know my back catalogue is about boys that hurt my feelings, and I just don't want my whole debut record to be 10 songs of boys that hurt my feelings, you know, like I need to live.
Well, I mean, we're workshopping this during the interview, so feel free to tell me later to delete it, but you did ask for my thoughts. So you had side A and side B as previous releases, and they were released separately, but essentially side A, side B implies a cohesive whole. You could have the 3 singles that we've just talked about as like prequel, and then the 5 songs on the EP. So they could all be put on together and not be called an album. You could just have
like that.
sort of in chapters, maybe.
Yeah, chapters. Oh, I'm writing that down. Yes, I like that.
So then if I were to suggest something further, not that you've recorded these songs, but you could have the 3 songs as the prequel, then you could have the 5 songs as like the body of the work, and then maybe an epilogue song.
Oh my God.
Maybe like I don't know, like a demo of something or something you've recorded at home, because the epilogue implies the sort of tapering out of that storyline.
Yeah.
So there you go, Chloe.
I love that. I've literally just written that down. Thank you so much.
Well, because I think, you already structurally have things in mind, which is what part A and part B implies.
Yeah.
I would actually take issue with you saying you haven't lived enough life in order to put out an album, because I think that I'm going to be, this is possibly the unpopular thing to say in a recorded session, but if you were a bloke, you would never say that to me.
That's true.
You would say,
yeah,
of course my life is inherently interesting. I'm going to have to not tar all men with that brush, but it's that whole thing about how men will apply for a job they're 40% qualified for. Women won't apply for the job unless they're 99 to 100% qualified for it. What you have just said to me is that you feel that you are only 40% qualified to do a problem. That's the equivalent.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have enough to say yet. Yeah.
And then we also get into the realm of talking about what's enough to say related to age and also to experience. So we could talk about ageism it's often talked about with older people, but it can also be applied to younger people. And this idea that you haven't lived enough life, you haven't experienced enough just because you're young, which is absolutely not true.
It's true. I'm on board. I agree. You're making me think a lot. I like this. I'm gonna go when we hang up. I don't think I'm gonna sleep in a good way. I've got lots to think about.
I do see it quite a bit. I think it's a self-deprecating thing as well for Australians as well. That's that tall poppy syndrome.
Oh yeah.
With the cultural cringe. This is a thing I'm on at the moment, talking about these two as really bad for artists, Australian artists. It's that thing of, oh, well, what do I really have to say? It's not that important. And when you layer that on with age, or youth rather, in particular, it can feel like I'm not the one who should be taking up this space. But as Fanny Lumsden would tell you, take up the space.
Yes. Ain't that the truth?
So there you go. We've just workshopped that for you, Chloe. I look forward to hearing the results.
Thank you.
And also on the subject of songs, part of what I love about Little Ladies and words actually is that you've taken a phrase that is often used pejoratively and you've taken ownership of it, because little lady can be like, oh,
Still a little
you
lady.
little lady.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was always part of the song that you actually, if you started with that kernel of little lady.
No, when I started writing the song, I actually wrote top to bottom. So I wrote from the very first line, the verse, and then I got to the chorus and I didn't even know what I wanted to say. It just kind of fell out. And then I got halfway through the chorus, and little lady is not even like the end of the chorus. It's just a lyric in the chorus. And it just fell out because I was dealing with overthinking and the fact that I sometimes overthink things to death and I ruin things and I am my own worst enemy. But then I love to blame it on the fact that I'm just a girl. I'm just a little lady. And so just naturally that saying came out and I loved it because, like you said, I took ownership of it instead of someone telling me, oh, you're a little lady, you're a crazy girl. Like I'm like, yeah, I am a girl and I do overthink things, but that's okay because I feel like there's so many people that do. And if we just take pride in it, then it's not a problem,
Yeah,
if we just accept and acknowledge that this is what we're doing, then it can't be a problem.
yeah, that's right. And also that whole idea of I'm just a little lady. So I was like, well, what do you want from me, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I know I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the lines is, I don't want to see truth, I just want to see you. And I was thinking about the fact that it's hard to not be self-deceiving about romantic relationships sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. So that lyric, technically, I couldn't physically see this person because they were back in Nashville and I was separated by an ocean and a hemisphere. But the fact that I knew that I was separated by an ocean and a hemisphere, I realized that it was just not going to happen. Like it was the reality of us was just never going to happen. But I didn't want to see that. Like I wanted to live in my head and I wanted to live in that bubble that we were in another country, and just go back to what that was. But I just knew that it just wasn't going to happen, and so I didn't want to see that truth.
Well, because it can be comforting, of course, to be in a bubble, and you can have your thoughts and be comforted by those thoughts, and it is really hard to break those thought patterns.
Yes, it is really hard to break those thought patterns. I mean, as someone, I've been going to therapy for 7 years. I'm a huge advocate for doing that. Everybody get to therapy. It's great. When I was writing this song, I was realizing that I was using it as therapy because I was getting everything out that I thought I kind of had issues with when I'm dating. And so essentially, like, it just became this, okay, everything that's wrong with me in dating kind of song, everything that I do and I feel like I self-sabotage. I actually should have played it to my therapist, to be honest, because it would have just really been quite helpful in unpacking a few things. Because although it's like a therapeutic song, I don't really have the answers. And I don't think I've improved at all because that situation no longer exists. And I instead just have all these songs about it. And I did nothing.
Well, except arguably the songs are the thing you did, right? Like, so when you say you
Exactly.
haven't improved, yeah.
Exactly. I got the songs out of it. So perfect. And also self-reflection, and because at the time it was reflection, and I'm learning from that. I think it's been a year and a bit since I wrote that song, that and Call It as well. And the songs that are on the EP, they're all very old for me, but obviously new for everyone else that's not heard them. So it's interesting now to hear those songs with fresh ears and a fresh brain, essentially. Like because I'm removed from the situation, I'm removed from those emotions, and I've grown heaps. I have grown heaps. I love saying to my friends, I look back on photos of me at like 24, 25 a few years ago, and I don't recognize her. I
Right.
literally do not know who that is. Yeah, it's so weird because I physically don't recognize myself. My hair was shorter. I don't know, I like was doing my makeup in a different way. I was just looked different, and mentally I couldn't tell you who she is.
Right.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of growth, and I can see that in my music as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, I have to say I can hear it in your music because I've
Thank
been listening
you.
to your music for quite a while, and
Yeah.
and every single now just it feels like a self-realized whole piece, if that makes
That's
sense.
really cool. Thank you. Yeah.
And there's another line in Little Lady that I really liked, which is "Fear of failing eats me up," because I think we've just talked about the nature of this song in particular. You should have shown it to your therapist, but that's actually quite a piece of work to realize that about yourself.
Yeah. Yes. That lyric, the next lyric, the following lyric, the fear of failing eats me up, so I'm inhaling every last memory of you before it's gone.
Mhm.
Just a funny tidbit. The lyric inhaling came from the fact that I'm asthmatic and I get asthma in Tennessee really bad. And so I have to have my Ventolin on me. So that's just a really random fun fact about that lyric. But I digress. The fear of failing eats me up is very self-reflective. And the fear of failing still eats me up. That is something that I haven't worked on. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Probably just write more songs about it. But I think there's power in knowing that the fear of failing eats me up, because I can acknowledge it sooner and I can maybe stop myself from self-deprecating or stop myself from having that thought spiral. If I can tell that I'm like anxious of the outcome when I really should just live in the moment and live in the now. And I think this is the first time I'm realizing this, actually having this conversation, but I think if I just lived in the moment when I was writing Little Lady, if I just lived in that moment of whatever that situation was, maybe I would have handled it a little better mentally. And I mean, I still would have written Little Lady, but I might just not have thought spiraled so much, you know?
There's also the notion that you shouldn't go against your own nature. Like if you know who you are and you know
Yeah.
that that's what you're doing, the fear of failing can be what keeps your tools sharp as an artist. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's because you care, you want to do well, and
Yeah.
tools could go quite blunt if actually you stopped caring. But then you can't actually separate that from the rest of your life. You can't say, well, I've got fear of failing as an artist, and that's going to help me produce better songs. But when it comes to personal things, I'm not gonna fear that because it's you, and that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It keeps me on my toes, the fear of failing. Absolutely.
Look, and it can also be, I'm mixing all sorts of metaphors. It can be a flame that burns very brightly, but
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's the only thing in my brain. It's the only thing that's on the forefront of my brain is that. But I think just societal pressures as well, just rather than relationships, just in general terms, like with a music career and stuff, like that fear of failing is so prominent. So it's just a constant battle in your brain in this industry. And then if that trickles into my personal life as well, then God help me, honestly.
well, I think you've equipped yourself with the tools of
Yeah.
all times to do it, including writing songs about it.
Yes. Very
Uh,
helpful.
and speaking of making things, you have made a video for this song with your sister Amy, and this is not your first video together. So, do you plan these things together, or does Amy take the lead?
We plan them together, or me, and I just kind of send her a notes app notes and I go, hey, this is the plan, and she goes, great, because she has like a full-time job in tourism. She does, this is not her job at all, but she just owns a good-ish camera and she has a really creative eye, and she loves her sister. She loves me so much that she does this. No, but also having worked with her now on 4 video clips, I wouldn't want to work with anyone else. Like, it's just amazing having my sister behind the camera because I feel so comfortable. I I can, not that I've ever felt like I can't speak up on set. Don't get me wrong. I always feel like I can speak up, but I can obviously just speak up more with my sister. Like, she's my older sister as well. So I just feel super safe around her and on set. And by set, I mean like just me and her go to a field, or we go literally anywhere we want. And we can, and the beauty of it is if the weather's bad, it's my sister, I can reschedule. Like, it's really easy to overcome challenges when I'm working with Amy, and she's just really good at it as well. So I'm really proud of her.
And the video looks lovely because it gives a different cant to the song because it has this nice glow around it. So obviously it was shot and then you worked out how to treat it so that it looked that way.
Yeah, we actually filmed it in northern New South Wales on a friend's property at Golden Hour, and we actually had to go back. So we originally went one day, and the weather was just so bad. It was windy, it was no golden hour, we didn't like it, but we ended up getting some beautiful photos. But then the beauty of working with my sister, we went back like 4 weeks later, and having the friend that had the property, and we refilmed the music video, and we just got this beautiful golden hour sunset. And I sent all the footage to Jasmine Smith, who from Jasmine Producers, and she clipped it together, and she's incredible. I love working with her as well, because she's just got such a creative eye and just really gets the vibe, because I kind of just have this film grain effect, and I just have random little shots and whatever, I don't really know. We just kind of created it together a couple of years ago, and Jasmine's just been doing it ever since. But I feel like my brand is quite strong lately, and people seem to notice at least that, oh, that's another Chloe Styler clip or anything, which is really heartwarming to my marketing degree soul, because I've tried really hard to build on that and make that a thing.
Yeah, and brand is important because you do need to be able to stand out, right? And we've
Yeah.
talked about your clothes before, and how you think about what you're wearing on stage, and with the video clips as well. It's not a frivolous thing at all, I think, to think about it. It's been going on for a very long time, visual branding.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, not right now. I'm wearing a strawberry shortcake t-shirt, but I mean, that's kind of on brand.
Yeah.
Brand's whatever you make it, right? As long as you just are
Absolutely.
confident in it, that's brand.
Well, I was really interested to learn a little while ago that Queen Alexandra, who was the consort of King Edward VII of Great Britain, was very interested. This is the early 20th century. She was very interested in how photography could be used to develop her brand, and how clothes could be used, and was quite aware of how she was going to present in photographs. So obviously at that time, in the early 1900s, photographs were, it was one and done, and you had to
Yeah.
be very careful about it. But she totally understood the power of that
Yeah.
imagery. So it's got a long history.
Yeah. That's really cool. I like that.
Now, to completely change the subject and go back to you, you are heading out on the road with the one and only Adam Harvey later in November. That should be a lot of fun.
It is going to be so much fun. I haven't toured with Adam before, so I'm very excited to be doing that. And his music was a staple in my house growing up, so I'm excited to jump on a few shows, Southeast Queensland shows in this month. But also I'm on a few shows next year, which is exciting. So
Ah,
I've been added to a handful at the end of January and early Feb. So I'm looking forward to those as well, and just wrapping up a really cool year with a great opportunity to support Adam Harvey.
yeah, look, and I'm sure you will have fun because he is inherently fun, but he's
Yeah.
also, sometimes I think Adam hides in plain sight. Like, he has this persona of being this jokey blokey guy. He's an incredibly good artist and performer and singer. So there's a lot going on not beneath all of that, but you know what I mean? It's almost like a smoke and mirrors thing. Like, hey, I'm going to tell these jokes and be really funny. It's like, no, Adam, you're a seriously good artist.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching his set and learning from him. Absolutely.
So you're also going to be in Sydney towards the end of November at the Beer Shed with Chelsea Berman. Now, unfortunately, I can't make that show. I'll be
Oh,
out of
no.
state,
Oh,
but it looks like it will be a great one. Have you and Chelsea shared a stage before?
we haven't, but we are very, very good friends. So I'm really excited to be doing this show with Chelsea. I've never put on a co-headline or headline show in Sydney. So this will be my first ever. And to share it with Chelsea is very exciting. Full band, singing our songs that are usually about boys that have hurt our feelings, but that's okay. I don't know. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. So I really hope anyone that's out there that is thinking of coming along, please grab a ticket, because it'll be really a great time.
And now, to continue a theme, that is your side A, because your side B with Chelsea is going to be in Tamworth at the
Yeah.
Country Music Festival with Jade Gibson added to the bill.
Yes, we are playing Moonshiners on Thursday, the 23rd of Jan. So we're doing an afternoon show. It's again my first co-headline/headline show in Tamworth, and with two of my best friends. So it's just what more could you want, really?
So when did you hatch the idea for that one?
We actually started talking about it at the festival this year. Jade and I started talking about it, and then we just brought it up with Chelsea, and she was, everyone was on board. It was a unanimous yes, because we all felt like we weren't ready to do our own show, but also we have similar fans and crossover in music as well. So it just kind of made sense.
Yeah, and you're also still quite distinctive artists, I think, in terms of your
Yeah.
sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, but we complement each other really nicely. So like if our music was on a playlist, it wouldn't jar, like it would make sense for all three of our songs to be on a playlist. So yeah, it'll be really fun.
So, because you said you've been added to some shows with Adam in like January, so it sounds like you'll go to Tamworth and then immediately go back out with him.
Yes, I believe so. I haven't done the logistics yet, but I think I get home and then I like the weekend I get home. I think I have maybe 4 days at home and then I jump out on some more shows that weekend.
But will be fun and a great way to kick off the year, which
Yeah,
will include some new releases.
absolutely. Always with me, there's always going to be new music. I can't keep away from the studio, to be honest.
Are you already planning your return to Nashville?
I am. Don't tell my bank account. I'm not in a rush though. I felt like when I got home in June, I felt like I was in a bit of a rush to get back. So hence why I got back 4 months later. I don't need to go that quickly. I think I'll probably go around May. I like being there in the summer. It was a little cold this time, I'm not going to lie. And I don't like the cold. I'm from the Gold Coast. So I might, yeah, I reckon May-ish and get back there for CMA Fest. It's a nice time of year to be there and everyone's having a great time and there's lots of Aussies in town. So hopefully around then.
Well, lots of exciting things on the horizon. It has already been an exciting 2024 for you. Chloe, always love hearing on your music and I look forward to whatever's next. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.